Okay. Happy Halloween, first of all. I got my skeletons on. Excited to play again in McHale tomorrow. And, we're a little bit limited just because we have some injuries right now. So who knows how the game will actually look. But just good to get on the floor, get in our uniforms, and practice some stuff. So excited. It's getting real. Well, not sure totally, but possibly Skylar. Courtney's still out. Brea's still out because we want to have her back for the first game. And potentially I might hold Helena out. I'm just not sure. She's got a little sore quad. So she sat out yesterday. I'll probably sit her out today. So I'm not sure. But so she probably won't play. So we could go in tomorrow with 6, 7 players. First time in my career. But it is what it is.
Starting on the road this year, I mean, you've gone to some mid-majors the last several years, played on their court. I mean, a lot of them say they can't get people to play there. I mean, how important do you think that is for schools like Arizona to do that?
Really important, especially when they're in our geographical footprint. Very hard place to play. New Mexico is just hard to play. New Mexico State. So those are good teams. A lot of people don't want to go there because you can get beat on those courts, and they're coached well. But I think for us, going somewhere we can bus to in a couple hours, staying, like you're not on the plane, you're not traveling. I think these are games that we should play every year, and they're pretty good teams that do well in their conferences. So I'm okay with that challenge. I think it's really hard for us to get people to come here. I think that we should be playing GCU every year, but that's been a challenge getting them to play. But that makes perfect sense because it saves both of our programs a lot of money. They're usually good, and we're usually good. So I want to play teams close to us because also for our fan base, those are fans that can drive within 4 or 5 hours. So I think that's good for just our sport.
In terms of the roster, obviously, you're dealing with low numbers.
Yeah.
The one noticeable thing is that you don't have any walk-ons on this team.
Yeah.
How did you guys evaluate that aspect of it?
I typically don't have walk-ons. I think it's really hard to have walk-ons. I think for women's basketball is very different. I think if I know, like in a couple of years ago, Lindsay was awesome for us. If you have a connection, someone, maybe they were from a really good AU program and there's some kind of connection, I'm okay with that. But otherwise, I don't really know them. So the players that we recruit, we usually have a process. Like I've recruited Brea, Maya, those kids from 8th grade. So you know their family, you know what you're bringing in your locker room. I think if you just have another walk-on, you don't know them, and you don't know. You can do a 2-week tryout, which is good, and we might actually do that this year because we might need to. But I never want to be in a situation where I have to. And for me, the other difficult thing is everybody expects to play, and it's shocking. And you guys are like, oh, I don't. I think it's really rare, at least for women's basketball, that even a walk-on they want to play. And I think what sometimes gets forgotten is there's players and scholarship kids that don't always have opportunity to play. So it's normal that you're going to play probably scholarship kids before, and then there isn't enough minutes. So I remember a couple of years ago with some walk-ons, the expectation was to play. And, we weren't playing some of the scholarship kids that would have the opportunity to play first. So I think it's really hard. I think it's hard to have a role as a female athlete to just practice and cheer and maybe not travel all the time and then maybe not play. And it's interesting to me because I would think it'd be easy to fill that role, and I would add walk-ons. But from my experience, I've had meetings, and it's like they want to play, which I understand, but that's not the role that we need. So typically, if it was a walk-on situation, it's going to be a really good, student athlete, a really good teammate, someone with great body language, great attitude, energetic, and probably won't have a whole lot of opportunity to play. May have some opportunity to practice, but may not sometimes. And I think that's hard to ask someone given the time commitment.
Why do you think that's different? Because maybe this is a men versus women's thing. Why do you think that's different with women? Because I think most guys go into it knowing, hey, I want to be a part of this. I know I'm not going to play.
Yeah, I don't know, because I thought it would be the same on the women's side, but from my experience, it's not like that. I think with men's basketball, I think it's a really clear understanding, and it's obvious because they get way more. So if you look at men's sports across the board, they get a lot more walk-ons. I think our men probably have like 5 or 6. I wouldn't even be able to find 5 or 6 good enough players to be walk-on good for women's sports, and that's unfortunate.
Does it make sense for a player good enough to practice at a D1 team like this? to sit out when there's 15 scholarships everywhere?
Well, so we can't have female practice players. So I kind of wish we could, because that's a different situation. If we could have managers and practice players, we would, but you can't. So I think that it's hard for female athletes to come sit here when you can maybe go to GCU and play. I think that's hard, because if you're usually good enough to compete, you want to compete for a scholarship, right? Um, and for me, I don't want to carry 15 people. Carrying 15 people was a disaster. I don't like it. It was not good. It was very hard. A lot of people were very miserable. And then, like, it's hard to work people in for practice when you have really good practice players. So a lot of times, if let's say we had 3 or 4 walk-ons, they're not going to probably be as good as a male practice player. So then you have incentive to try to use male practice players. So I think it's hard to ask someone to commit to all this time every day, and then just to be a cheerleader at practice and practice some. I think it's a hard job to fill, which is unfortunate. I think on the men's side, I think there's so much prestige and so much that comes with the what you get is a lot more on the men's side, which is unfortunate to say, than on the women's side. Yeah. I don't mean to make it a sexist thing. It's just a kind of a reality. I think the perks of their travel, their gear, their meals, I think it's just a lot more than what the women get. So I think the perks aren't as big, and that's just the fact. Like, that's just kind of the reality.
Actual rule on the practice players, you said it has to be men.
Yeah, you can't have a female practice player. They have to then be a walk-on. But yeah, I don't know who made that rule, but I would make that rule. But that's just me. Yeah, you can't. So I don't know all the details on that, but yeah, I didn't know that till I started. Like, until I was a head coach, you can't have female practice players, and you're probably not going to have a whole lot of females just because they would want to be a walk-on then, because we do have 15 scholarships. And it's rare that you fill 15 scholarships. Right now, like, we could use a couple more. So in a perfect situation, I would have 3 walk-ons right now. They could help us in practice because we don't have enough to even practice right now. So I actually thought about possibly doing that this year. And normally I'm not in a situation where we have to, because we'd have 12 or 13 scholarship kids. So I wouldn't really be in a situation where I need it. And I did my second year. And so if I had a situation where I knew we had someone good enough, I would add them right now. But it's like the process of going through tryouts. It's like a really time consuming, and it's hard for me to tackle that beast when I'm just going to try to get more practice players. So, yeah.
What do you want from these 2 games?
I want us to come out without any more injuries. I want to get in play, but, like, not kill us. We could potentially have 6 players tomorrow, which is just, it's uncharted territory for me. I want to, like, use it as a conditioning thing, game situations, but, like, I would have never, and I don't want to cancel a game or something like that. But I just want to come out where we're okay, try to conserve us in some ways, but just get some experience. So I wish Skylar would. I don't think Skylar is available, but I wish she could be, because it's just to get the kinks out. I wish Brea could be, because now their first game is going to be a real game, which is okay. They've played at high levels, but you want those exhibition games for that. And Courtney hasn't had a chance to play her yet. I anticipate her being ready by the first game, but you want them to kind of get the jitters out and have something under their belt before we start. And we're starting on the road, so it's going to be a tough challenge. But, like, my main thing is right now getting everybody healthy.
Will you change anything up? Because if you only have 6 players, won't it be hard to run some of the pressure D that you run?
Yeah, it's like, and I've changed a lot of stuff up in practice. Like today, it would be really light, a lot of 5-on-0. Not really going against the guys hard, and we're so limited in numbers. And, like, could I play Helena? Yes. Like, but with a strained quad, like, why play her? It's just not. I need her for next week in a game. And then Skylar, like, the concussion, we're not rushing that. And, Courtney can't control the timeline. And then Brea, like, trying to give her the ample time to be back. Because remember, in a couple of weeks we start playing a lot. Then we go to Bahamas, play 3 games in 3 days. So it's a lot of hard stuff coming up fast. So I really need to have us ready for that. But yeah, I have to change everything right now. Like, it's going to be a lot lighter in everything we do, just so we can get healthy. And I think you see this across the board. But the difference is, losing Montea at the beginning of the year was a big blow for us. And then just having limited numbers, I would have ideally had a couple more players, and we wouldn't have been in this situation. We'd have gone to the game at least 8 or 9, which would feel a lot better than 6. I was like, 6? I was like, whoa. I think it's going to be like 7. But
Is there anyone you've leaned on or has had a similar situation like this that you can talk to about how to manage it?
no, because I think the situations of the circumstances are just unique. Like, Helena strained her leg. She was in skill yesterday, but then I sat her out. She strained her leg in weights. Like, it was just kind of a weird turn. But it's not a major injury, and it just happens. Skylar collided with Kaylin. Her head hit Kaylin's chest, concussion. So those are things that I just can't control. Brea's was a fluke little turn in practice. So those are things that I can't control it. And I think across the board, you see a lot of that in October because the loads change from your 8 hours to your 20. And then because games are easier than practicing every day. So players love games because it's not as hard, it's not as easy as practicing. So I think it's just kind of the circumstances. And so I honestly haven't leaned on everybody. I'm just trying to figure out what we're going to do. And figuring out how to lighten practice loads and just do some more skill and just getting a plan to kind of get people back in the next 10 days.
The actual exhibition game tomorrow, what kind of things with those players who will be on the court?
Well, first I have to see who's going to be on the court because I don't know yet. Depends on today.
What kind of things will you try to do to not only for you to figure things out, but for them to sort of to gain some experience and to start and to keep learning?
Yeah, so some things I'll do, just probably change some of our pressing stuff. Maybe just go a little bit softer on some of that. You might see Esmeri playing some 3 tomorrow. We might play a bigger lineup just because of our personnel. So you might see more of Isis and Maya together a little bit more with Esmeri at the 3. And it could be solid. That's probably a lineup that wouldn't typically play together. Yeah, you'll probably see Kaylin play a lot through mistakes, more mistakes than normal. But now she plays defense, so she might be able to stay on the floor longer. I think just it'll, because of being down some guards, I think it'll push Esmeri, which is good. I think that's good experience for Esmeri. They can help us down the line. So I think you'll see bigger, more unique lineups than probably before. So it should be interesting. Thank God it's exhibition, right? Thank God it doesn't count. I know. Thank you.